Hey everyone, January 12th, and it is 2025, and I had a good day. What about you guys? Just had a little hunting meeting earlier today, planning out next season, and then I went to the gym and ran some errands, and then I came home and jumped on some online forums and immediately got into a debate. So I really like to debate. Some people would say argue. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's a good way to slowly over time land at the correct way of thinking on various matters. Sometimes through debate, I learn things, and sometimes through debate, other people learn things. And I do not know everything, far from it, but there are some things that I've been interested in for so long, and I've taken so many courses through, whether it be middle school, high school, college, or whatnot, or even just independent courses, maybe online courses, books that I know a lot about. And it's always funny when on a particular topic within what you might consider like an expert or professional forum, you might be someone that might be known as like a top contributor or someone pretty highly regarded, someone that other people might recommend other people to go to for the answers. And then when it comes to, a very general public forum, all of a sudden you got people that don't really know anything about the given topic trying to tell you the way it is. So, what this is leading into is there was a news article posted to a public forum, and it was in regards to Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, I believe Mackenzie Scott. She famously was awarded in their divorce about $150 billion. And very, very, very quickly, she donated a really, really, really large portion of that. I want to say about 80%. So naturally, people are going to say, oh, she's a great person. Jeff Bezos never donated that much money in his life to people. So billionaires are terrible people, and she is a great person. And on the surface, it might seem like that. Because on the surface, a lot of things seem to be a certain way. But when you actually put some logic and thought into some actions, you actually realize what seems like a good idea on the surface actually is not a good idea. And it didn't take me long to do some math and realize that her actions are really, really, really foolish. She blew through about 80% of her value. Threw it away. She took action that, now it doesn't matter where she put her money, whether she bought, Lamborghinis, Porsches, mansions, or she just gave it away to other people. It doesn't matter what she did with the money. It's, in the end, she still blew through 80% of her money. She did exactly what someone that wins the lottery did. Now, for anyone that knows me or has followed my channel, I've talked about this before. Trials and tribulations and, that sort of philosophical thing, where she landed in the position she's in with all this money, not through the trials of getting there, but it was essentially handed to her through privilege. So she didn't earn it. So she doesn't really know how that money came to be. So it's understandable that, through a good heart and all that, that she gave the money away. And it comes from a good place. And I agree with that. It comes from a good place. And I'm sure the people that received that money are very gracious. But it's very, very, very foolish. And when I called the situation out for what it is, immediately this lady, Barbara, I'm not going to disclose the last name, and I don't even remember what it is, said, oh, that's typical, but I don't see any other billionaires doing this. Yeah, you think? Because if they make regular habit of doing what she's doing, they're not going to be billionaires. And she proceeds to ask me if I have $150 billion. No, because I am not privileged. Can I see what it takes to get $150 billion? I did some rough math, actually, and it would take above average gains, about 20 years and $26 million per $1 billion. So what $150 billion really means is a lot of time, a lot of starting capital, which usually comes from privilege, or a really strong work ethic and combination of luck, groundbreaking monopolies, this sort of stuff. Exactly what Jeff Bezos is. Came from Jeff Bezos starting Amazon. It takes a lot to get $150 billion. So no, I don't have $150 billion. But I absolutely can comment on how she spent 80% of that and that it was not a good idea. And we're going to talk about why it wasn't a good idea. The average person can expect to be able to grow their wealth somewhat reliably at 10% per year. 10% per year. If you are not growing your money, you are losing money because we have inflation, which could be 2%, 3%, or God forbid, 8% per year. But, we're going to be roughly around 3% per year, plus or minus a percent, or a portion of a percent per year. So if we're not growing our money, we're actually actively losing our money. So we can grow by 10% per year. So believe it or not, we are not the first people to think about what an appropriate amount of donation there should be per year. This is discussed philosophically. It's discussed religiously. A lot of people that actually come from religious backgrounds actually have a set amount that they donate every single year. It's built into their religion, customs, and routines. Now, we're moving away from religion within this world in the United States, seemingly. So now we're looking to the government to tell us how much we should donate, and they don't give guidance. And now you have popular culture doing it, and they just want to give 80% away, like Mackenzie Scott. I hope that's her name. But again, I don't know everything. Jeff Bezos' wife. giving away 80% of our fortune. Sounds like a great thing, but it is not smart. And we're talking about why it's not smart. 10% per year is what we can gain. So the suggested donation per year is somewhere between 1 and 10%. They've talked about this for centuries, if not millennia, on how much you should be able to donate. The idea behind this is you don't want the principal to be shrinking. You want it to be growing. So if you keep your donation to 1 to 10% per year, and you're growing at 10% per year, you can now donate every year of your life until you're dead. and you're going to be growing. So your principal will be growing about 10%, and you take away from that, it's still going to be growing, even if it's slowly growing, every single year. You donate 80%, you just lost 80%, and you are never getting that back. It takes 5 minutes to spend 80% of your fortune. Anyone can do it. Just give it away to someone. It's gone. Do you have any idea how hard it is to make 80% gain on your principal? It is very, very hard. It's easy to spend. It's hard to make. Most people gain 10%. Takes 5 minutes to spend 80%. Might take you 5 to 8 years to make 80%. She is foolish. So, a very intelligent investor. So the average investor can pull in about 10%. An intelligent investor might be able to rely on 20%, double that. All right. So, Barbara, who asked me if I have $150 billion, which no, Barbara, I do not have $150 billion. To have $150 billion, I probably would have had to be born into wealth already, and I would have had to have a lot of time. I do not know the background of Jeff Bezos, but Amazon is like one of the top 10 companies in the world, employing thousands of people, taking in lots and lots of money. Don't ask me how much. Billions. And that's why he's a billionaire. So no, I do not have $150 billion, but I can do basic middle school math, high school math, college level math. I can do all that. You don't need $150 billion to have taken investing courses and known how much the average investor can expect to make per year, which is 10%. Great investors make 20%. Warren Buffett, he's pretty well known for making 20% over the last several years. 50 years, I think, at that. And he's considered the greatest. 20% per year consistently. Barbara said that Mackenzie Scott's not the only billionaire that donates her money. Bill and Melinda Gates do too. Are they stupid? And I immediately said no. Bill and Melinda Gates, doesn't take too much effort to Google the figures. They don't do what Mackenzie Scott does. They didn't donate 80% of the fortune. They have the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And just because I'm going to say in just a few moments that what they're doing is smart doesn't necessarily mean I think they're great and what they're doing is great, because again, a lot of donations can come from a place of ego, and influencing the world in a way that you might not agree with, might not be great for the world. So we're not going to talk about whether what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation does is good or not, but I will say financially they are smart and they are great, and they're going to reach a lot more people than Mackenzie Scott is. And I hope I got the name right. But what I am going to say is Bill and Melinda Gates, from just a very rough look at their portfolio. So they have a foundation that is incorporated and they run it as a company, and they have a principal. And they invest that principal. And from what I can gather, they make probably about a 20% gain on that principal. I believe they have a good portion invested with Warren Buffett, who I just discussed makes about 20% per year investment gain. And that is how they're handling their money. Now, they're donating to other individuals, foundations, and organizations about 12.5% per year. So it's above our 1 to 10%, but they are making probably about 20%. So they are under the threshold for which they are slowly bleeding to death, and they are still growing their principal over time. So they are doing it intelligently. So Barbara and I came to an understanding through this debate, and she walked away. Sometimes you can learn something through debate. And again, sometimes at face value, something might seem like a good thing, but in the end, you might realize a lot of people out there, if they haven't been through the trials and tribulations of life, if they have been handed a great sum of money but haven't earned it, they will quickly blow through 80% of it. And again, I am sure people are really, really, really appreciative that Mackenzie Scott gave away probably tens of billions of dollars to them. I'm sure they appreciate that. But through some very basic math, we kind of come to the conclusion that in the grand scheme of like the next 50 years, next 20 years anyway, she's only reached about 6% of her total potential. She probably, for every person she donated money to, she probably could have donated 15 other people, like 16x what she did over the next 20 years if she intelligently managed her money. So that's my thoughts on the matter. No, Barbara, I don't have $150 billion, but I can do some basic math. And if we ever come into a point where we have a very large sum of money, if you're ever inheriting $100,000, please, no matter how good of a heart you have, don't go and blow through $80,000. I mean, it's pretty insignificant. It's going to be appreciated a lot, in the first year. But I can pretty much guarantee you in 10 years, no one's going to care. They're not going to remember who you are. And your donation probably didn't help anyone that much. In fact, when given a lot of money, some people end up in a much worse position within 5 years. I think that's a statistic. When people get a large sum of money, within 5 years, they often end up in a worse place. So if you're giving someone a really large chunk of money and they didn't earn it or don't know what to do with that, you're not really doing them any favors. Instead, you should take your $100,000, limit your donations somewhere to 1 to 10,000 for that year. find a really good financial advisor to help you manage this money. And what you're going to find is that you'll probably make $10,000 a year off this $100,000, and then take a portion of that each year and donate it. Don't take $80,000 and blow it. Now it's gone forever. Off $20,000, you're only going to make $2,000 a year. Off $100,000, you're going to make $10,000 a year. $10,000's a lot bigger than $2,000. So, do you want to be able to donate $2,000 a year to people, or do you want to be able to donate $10,000 a year? Don't blow through 80% of your funds. You can only make money with money. And the more money you have to start, the more money you're going to make year after year after year. So by blowing 80%, you're actually doing everyone else a disservice. So hopefully this talk helped some people that might not know too much about finances. And I wish the best for Jeff Bezos' wife. The last time I checked, she's still doing really well. I just think she's probably made the most donations she's ever going to be able to make. And she'll be okay with how much she still has left over if she doesn't continue to burn. She might. Who knows? In 5 years, we'll see where she's at. But I definitely will say she will not be able to sustain the amount of donations she's already been making. And it's just sad because, to be honest, over time, she could have continued, if she managed the money correctly, to be able to make really solid year after year after year donations to various groups of her choosing. Would have been much better. Like I said, over 20 years probably would have been 16 times the amount of overall capital, divvied out. Again, Sunday night, close to a full moon. People are cranky. I love to argue, not in a mean-spirited way, but I like to argue in a debate type manner, that's gonna... I loved debate in middle school. I loved it in high school. Our teachers always used to make us do a debate. I remember my English teacher, and back then politics were a thing. They weren't as strong as they are today, I'd say, and she didn't let us have an opinion. She told us what our opinion was for that day and to defend it through debate. And next week we had to flip-flop, defend the other side. It's the way it should be. And through debate, we can teach other people things, and we can be taught things, and we can evolve as human beings and learn. And not only that, when we're debating people that are either better or worse than us, sometimes just kind of makes us stronger and shows us the holes in our own beliefs. And that's why I spend a lot of time debating on some very tough forums. I spend a lot of my public debates on a lot of public pages. I have some more tough forums that, have some more difficult people that are probably about 10 times more difficult to debate with than the average person I see on, mainstream media news forum or something to that effect. Those people don't realize how easy they are, because I place myself in some pretty difficult situations through various online forums that have some pretty difficult people to debate with. But that's how I learn, and that's how I can tackle other people. So anyway, that's it. I'm rambling. Sunday night. Got to work tomorrow. Good night. And again, just my page in general. I do a lot of this stuff. Financial talk, hunting, aviation, flight simming. This is my personal page. There's no one set theme. What I like to do is teach people how to be smart with their money so that they can live the life they want. And I like to teach people all about hunting. That's an investment in itself. It's reliance on yourself versus reliance on wherever you live. And I'm just a big fan of aviation and flight simming on my downtime. So I'm throwing all that at you guys. And yeah, I'm really rambling. So follow me, Matt Hunts Boston, on YouTube. And you can also find me on X, which is Twitter. I'm not super active on there, but I'd like to be. Good night, everyone. It's been real. Bye.